All right, before I get into round two of the Battle of LA, let's do another quick recap of the Illinois game versus USC. 25th ranked Illinois came into town, got beat down 76-66. It was senior night. The senior showed up. Rhea Marshall, she had 12 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals. She was everywhere. Mad Dog style. Now, I talked about her before the beginning of the season. Before the season ever even started, there were players that were on WNBA mock draft boards projected to go in the first round. Some boards even had them as lottery picks. And I said, hey, for my money, I'll take Rhea Marshall in the second round, get that exact same production, and it's based on proof rather than potential. And all she's done all season long is proving me to be right with that one. So thank you, Rhea Marshall. And if you're a smart team out there in the W, listen, she's a sleeper. Let everybody else sleep. This is one that you want to get. She's going to come in and make an instant impact for a team next season. Now, Talia Van Oelhoffen. She's taking control of the offense while she's out there. I know it's a hard thing to do when you're joining a team that has a player like Juju Watkins to come in and try to assert yourself, but she's done so. Some of the passes that she dropped in this game, a couple of slick bounce passes, we really need that from her all tournament long. The defense that she's shown, we already knew she could do that. She's done it all season. But the command of the offense is what I've seen grown as far as Talia Van Oelhoffen is concerned. Kiki Iriafen, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks. Another game with multiple blocks, something that she's been working on all season long and getting a lot better at it. Besides the blocks, there were a couple of shots where you can see her length really bother the shots. So it's not just about the stats. You have to actually watch the game to see her impact out there. But she's turned into quite the defensive player this season. We all know she's a very nice person off the court, very smart. You don't get into Stanford if you're not a smart person, right? So seeing some of that nastiness actually on display lately, I've loved it. And what I mean is carving out space on offense. She's not playing straight up. She's not just trying to operate in the space that she's given. She's using her physicality and carving out her own space. She's blocking shots and watching players slide out of bounds and just looking back at them like, why would you even try that? I love that little side of nastiness from her. It's just a touch, but it's just enough. I love that. Didn't see much of Clarice in this game. We know she's a big weapon versus UCLA, so it was good that they saved her for when they really need her, and they will need her in the next game. So, not a lot to say about her in this one. She only played 6 minutes, but all around, great game from all of the seniors on board. Now, the freshies, Kennedy Smith, Avery Howe, Kaylee Heckle, they're consistently growing and they're showing what they have. Kennedy Smith showed some really nice offense in this game, even though she only had 8 points. 3 for 6. She was very economical. She made the most of her shots, and it was a turnaround jumper in the mid range that was something we haven't seen a lot from her. Her just really getting her own shot. We've seen her catching in the corner and get to it. We've seen her come out of the corner and attack the basket on some of those catches, catching the rotation, slipping, but we haven't really seen her go out and create her own shot a lot. And so I was really enthused to see that happen when she just backed the player down, took her time, took a nice little turnaround shot. She can do this all game if she had to. She doesn't have to, so we haven't seen it, but it's good to know that we have that in our bag. Now, Juju Watkins, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 4 blocks. I repeat, 1 steal, 4 blocks. Just another game for her. This is just what she does. All right, we've come to expect greatness on both sides of the court when it comes to Juju. Judea Skies, which I'm glad that new deal that she got with the airline, they went ahead and promoted that was her middle name because a lot of people didn't know that. Yeah, it's not just Juju, it's also Judea Skies, which is a great name for basketball. I could tell watching this game that they really understood the mission. They didn't allow Illinois to win any quarter. It was either tied or in USC's favor. It wasn't as physical a game as a Michigan State game. They got in, they put on a show, they got out, kept it clean. Let's move on. Now, let's roll it back to their first game versus UCLA because this was a legendary game for Juju Watkins. I saw a lot of the haters, the naysayers silenced in this game. I saw a lot of opinions reversed on Juju Watkins in this game. There were a lot of people saying, why is she getting all of these promotions, all of these advertisement deals? Why is she in commercials and they're pushing her down her throat? Wham, wham, wham. Right? And after this game, I saw some of her biggest haters, some of her biggest naysayers turn into fans, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing. Right? Including Jason Whitlock. Let's see how fast some of his opinions from earlier this season change and completely reverse to now being pro Juju, which I don't know if we necessarily want him on the bandwagon, but he's on it.
Uh, Juju Watkins last night dropped 38 on UCLA, number one ranked UCLA, undefeated UCLA. Juju Watkins plays at USC. This is a crosstown rivalry. This was a big, magical basketball game last night. The number one ranked undefeated UCLA Bruins, who've already this year, I think, knocked off South Carolina. USC, I believe, is 22-2. This is a big clash. Number one team, most talented player in women's college basketball, in my opinion, and she takes them down with a magical 38-point performance, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 8 blocked shots, made 6 of 9 from three-point range. Do yourself a favor and go look up these highlights. This looked like, and I'm not exaggerating, I'm just keeping it real, this looked like light-skinned Kobe Bryant, light-skinned Michael Jordan in a female form. The WNBA is going to be more popular than the NBA. It will happen in our lifetime. It will happen, in my view, in the next 3 to 5 years. Juju Watkins is a sophomore right now. Maybe she goes to the NBA after her junior year. I would prefer her to stay all 4 years, build that amazing, huge, astronomical college brand, just like Lou Alcindor and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, just like Bill Walton, just like Michael Jordan. He spent 3 years, just like all the big-time NBA stars of the past. Basketball in America will be defined by these female players. I know many of you, oh, Whitlock's crazy. They play a terrible brand of basketball. They can't make layups. Yeah, Juju and Caitlin are great, but the rest of it is unwatchable. They're tattoos, they're unlikable, they're this, they're that. Steve Kim's going to make these arguments, I would imagine. I don't want to put words in Steve's mouth. He's just dead wrong. All you need is a narrative and a storyline. All you need is competition. All you need is a couple of players that are highly watchable, and it will drive the rest of the league. And eventually you'll discover these other players, and eventually you'll get over your bias and animus and dislike of these other players, and you'll just enjoy the competition. Juju Watkins and Caitlin Clark, they're easy to look at. They're not all tatted up. They don't look like little men out there. They look like women basketball players that you would be friends with, and maybe you would even date. Juju Watkins is going to be a bigger deal come March Madness than Cooper Flagg or anybody in men's college basketball. I couldn't see it at the beginning of Caitlin Clark. I got up one day and saw Caitlin Clark leading SportsCenter, I think, at the beginning of her junior year or maybe at the end of her sophomore year. And I'm like, what is ESPN doing leading with Caitlin Clark? And then by the time March Madness came around, I was like, oh, that's what they're doing. That's what's happening right now with Juju Watkins. This is A Star is Born. Did you ever see that movie, A Star is Born? Isn't it some sort of love story from the 70s or 80s? But A Star was born last night, Steve.
In all seriousness, here's one of the issues, and we're going to repeat ourselves here. If Juju was playing in an Iowa City, a Happy Valley, in Athens, Georgia, somewhere that's a real college city, Madison, Wisconsin.
All right, 2 quick things. First of all, they don't even show up in Madison, Wisconsin for the team that they have now, and they have Sarah Williams, who's the only player in a Power 4 conference that's averaging at least 19 points and 10 rebounds. The fans don't show up. I don't want to bash her teammates, but they barely show up. I mean, shout out to Coach Mo, but I feel like Sarah Williams deserves better. To say that Juju Watkins should be there, no, I think it's the other way around. Actually, Sarah should be looking for a crowd like the one at the Galen Center to play in front of next season, in my opinion. That's her choice to make. Secondly, I know you're not supposed to change clothes mid-video, but after Whitlock's little creepy comments about who he would and wouldn't date when we're talking about 22 and 19-year-olds, I had to go shower, personally. If you guys need to pause and do the same, go ahead. I'll be right here waiting for you. I apologize for even letting that play. I let them go on for way too long. Now, let's talk about the game. USC versus UCLA, round 1. We saw a few things that I expect to see again in round 2 and a couple things that I don't expect to see in round 2. First of all, they tried to defend Juju Watkins one-on-one. We saw Jacquez take a shot at it. We saw Barker trying. We saw Jones trying, which a lot of people talked about because of the height difference. it didn't matter. We even saw Kendall Dudley trying to defend her one-on-one. Nobody had an answer for her. Even on the other side, she was overwhelming them defensively and offensively. I don't expect to see Coach Close try that one-on-one approach again. I expect to see Juju Watkins playing in much more of a crowd like we saw against Notre Dame and other teams. Or maybe she sticks with the program. Maybe she sticks with the plan and says, you know what, we were close to winning. We're not going to sell out on defense just because Juju Watkins went and had the game that she had. Maybe she's betting that Juju Watkins won't be as hot. I personally wouldn't go with that, but we'll see what she does. I would scrap that one-on-one defense if I was her. Secondly, all right, Lauren Betts, she went 5 for 13 from the field. I don't expect to see that happening again. Even with the great defense that we know USC has, I don't really expect to see her being that inefficient 2 games in a row versus USC, but I also don't expect to see her go 8 for 9 from the free throw line. She's a 60% free throw shooter for her career. I just don't think she can go to the line and consistently knock down free throws at that rate. So those are 2 things. Maybe they'll balance out. She'll be more efficient from the field and less efficient from the free throw line. We'll see. But 18 and 13, as far as the stat line, I do expect to see around the same kind of production from her. Clarice Akinwafu, her defense was no revelation. We talked about it in the comments before the game because we saw it last season. That's what she does. We're going to see that again in this game. It wasn't a fluke at all. She can step into the game and do that against Lauren Betts. We'll see that this game and any other potential game that they have in the tournaments. 3-point shooting. UCLA, they have London Jones, they have Tamia Gardner, they have some very good 3-point shooters, and they were 2 for 13 in this game, 15.4%. If I'm USC, I'm not necessarily counting on them having that poorly of a shooting night, as well as USC went 8 for 18 from the 3-point line, 44.4%. It's not often that we see them shoot that well. So those 2 things might balance out a little bit more, and they might have to find a different way to win than from the 3-point line. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But there's things about USC's performance that I expect to see better as well. I don't expect to see Kennedy Smith go 1 for 8 again. Rhea Marshall was 0 for 2. You don't typically see her closed out like that, shut out that way. Kiki Iriafen, 4 for 14. That's not something that UCLA can count on. Definitely don't expect Howell and Heckle to go 2 for 8 combined again. So I really do think that they'll pull this win out, even if London Jones has a better shooting game, even if Tamia Gardner has more than 1 point. I just think they'll do better. Janiyah Barker, she was 4 for 5, 10 points, 5 rebounds in this game. She doesn't always give you that. 80% from the field. I think we're going to see it play out a lot differently, but I think we'll end up seeing the same result. Now, the one thing that does scare me is the fact that Douglas will step out and shoot that 3. And if she's hitting, that adds just a little bit of a different dynamic because now you have 2 bigs as far as Gardner and Douglas that can step out and hit those 3s for you. We don't necessarily have that on the USC side. But all in all, I'm not expecting to see much of a difference besides the fact that UCLA is at home. Be honest with you. Hopefully we see a lot of USC fans invade Pauley Pavilion and they can have kind of a balanced crowd, but I'm not in LA, so I can't be there, you guys. Be there for me. Hold it down. My last and final prediction for this game, USC with the win. I'm expecting a closer game than the 11-point win that we saw last time. I'll say USC by 5 points. That's what I'm going with. Hopefully it comes true. If not, oh well, but this one is for the Big Ten championship. So there's a lot on the line, regardless of what happened in that first game. Even bigger than the Battle of LA. They're playing for a chip. They're playing for the Big Ten regular season championship. So I expect to see USC show up. Let me know in the comments if you agree, if you disagree. If you think that I should never ever play a Jason Whitlock clip again on this channel, let me know that in the comments as well. Whatever it is, I'm here for it. I appreciate all you guys who are members, all you guys who are subscribers. If you have gotten this far and you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do so. Catch you guys in the next video.